Joining me now as my guest is Dr. John Fleming, who is the United States Representative in Congress from Louisiana's 4th Congressional District. He is a physician as well as a lawmaker. And Dr. Fleming, do you prefer to be called Congressman Fleming, Representative Fleming, or Dr. Fleming?
Just call me John, Gordon. Just thanks for having me on.
Well, we're delighted to have you, and we know you're very busy these days, and we appreciate your sharing your time and your thoughts on us. Let's talk about the same thing that the speaker was just discussing there, and that's this Keystone pipeline. We are constantly complaining about being dependent upon foreign oil. And, I would hardly call Canadian oil foreign oil. We really need the oil. We need the jobs that the pipeline would provide. To me, it's a no-brainer. I just don't understand the president's reluctance to come out and give the permission.
Well, I quite agree. Nothing could be simpler and more straightforward, and certainly a gift given to us by God, that we have the Canadian oil, which is plentiful. Certainly the distribution side and the customers are down south here in the States. All this would simply be is a direct pipeline from there all the way to Houston and then processing through the refineries there. It would create many advantages for both countries. For one, it's been evaluated for its environmental impact over the last 3 years. So the president has no excuse from that perspective. The unions, believe it or not, are way behind this. They highly support it. So it tells you that the environmentalist extremists, the radicals, really hold the trump card in the White House and have in the Democratic Party as long as I've been in Congress, the last 3 years. But this would create 20,000 immediate, true shovel-ready, direct jobs, and probably as much as 100,000 over the long term, and it would move us way down the road towards energy independence.
It would indeed. Here we are, the Saudi Arabia of coal. We've got oil in abundance off both coasts and down in the Gulf, as well as ready to come in from Canada. We have oil in the Bakken region out west, and we've got 100 years' worth of natural gas that is available to us through the fracking process. And the environmentalists are attacking the fracking process as if it's something new. It's actually about 60 to 70 years old. There's been hundreds of thousands of such wells done. The only thing new is the horizontal drilling that helps to free the gas.
Right, that's quite true. And in fact, my district, the Haynesville Shale, is the largest natural gas deposit in North America, the 4th largest in the world.
Boy.
And this is a new discovery. We're talking only in the last 5 to 6 years that we knew that we have an abundance of natural gas. If you add natural gas to coal and oil, as you say, we have the largest amount of deposits of natural resources and energy than any place in the world. We're true to the Saudi Arabia overall of all fossil fuel energies, and all the new technologies are moving in the direction of safer use of them, better production, more efficient use, and improved exploration. And as you point out, now the enviros are attacking hydrofracking, which is 60-plus years old. Recently, I'm on natural resources, and I asked Secretary Salazar and the head of BLM, they were before us, and I asked them, well, where are the aquifers? How deeply do we drill for horizontal drilling and fracking and so forth? And Gordon, they had no clue. They didn't have the first idea. And my question was, well, then why insinuate yourself into this process and try to regulate something that's very well regulated by the states and very safely? Not one person has ever been harmed through hydrofracking. Why in the world would you want to do that? And they really had no answer to the question.
Well, I think it's ideology. I think that's the answer.
Yes, that's quite true.
Good heavens. Well, John, let's talk about something else that you would, I think, be particularly qualified to discuss, and that is Obamacare.
Yes.
This is now before the Supreme Court of the United States. You've got, 27 or 28 states attacking it as unconstitutional.
Yes.
Tell us from the perspective of a family medicine physician, which you were before you were in Congress. What do you think of this?
Well, the Obamacare itself is evolving into a tremendous disaster from a financial standpoint. For instance, one of the pieces of it that would have created the financing for the middle class exchanges for private insurance is taking out $500 billion, $500 billion from Medicare without any replacement of those funds at all. So that is going to speed the demise of Medicare, which is already about 10 years down the road from extinction. And Democrats in Congress have no answer to that. Then they came up with this crazy idea called the Class Act, which is a private opt-in, long-term health care type of insurance that they were sure people would want to get into. And then once it was implemented and the actuaries got into it, they realized that would not generate funding, that it would really be nothing more than a Ponzi scheme, and so HHS has closed that down completely. They also put, strangely enough, the student loan program for college into fully nationalized it, made it a governmental program in order to take the profits and help finance Obamacare. And now the president is saying, look, I think that if you pay 20 years on your debt, that's good enough. We should forgive the rest. So that's not going to work. So the financing of it is becoming a total disaster, and it's taken away free market principles, which build efficiencies and increase quality while reducing cost. All that's being removed from it. It's simply just, as I put it, a down payment on a socialistic economy, which has never worked in history in any nation, and it's failing a lot of nations today in Western Europe.
Boy, it certainly is. Now, John, you went into the Navy and studied medicine, and at one point you were a physician treating people with addictions.
Yeah.
So you're knowledgeable on addiction. Would you say, with $15 trillion in debt and still plunging ahead, that this government has an addiction for debt?
Absolutely. I would say, in fact, that we have a situation that you have 535 members of Congress, both the House and the Senate, and a president that compete with one another to see how much money can be spent. And to give you another perspective on that, just today, it was announced in USA Today that in crossing the $15 trillion debt level that we're at, we're now 100% plus in terms of our debt versus our gross domestic product. That's unprecedented, and that's going to grow very rapidly over the next 10 years. It'll grow another $10 trillion. And the only other countries in the Western world who have done this are all today in trouble, such as Ireland, Italy, and, of course, Greece. Straightforwardly, there are a lot of processes in government to spend more money. There is none to actually reduce spending. And there are a number of us in the House of Representatives who have legislative initiatives to turn that back. But, of course, we can't get a hearing from Leader Reid in the Senate on any of these. One is a proposal I have in which we set about a commission like the BRAC Commission for the military bases that would, over a 3-year period, analyze every regulation, every law, every agency, every department. And this commission would be tasked with the ability to remove anything that's unnecessary or redundant, and it would take a 2/3 vote from Congress to override their decision. We need bold plans like this, Gordon, to really get this government down to the size it needs to be.
Boy, I'll say. Well, John, we need to take a quick pause for the benefit of our advertisers. Do you have time to stand by for a few minutes?
Sure.
No.
Oh, absolutely.
I'll be right back with you. Folks, I'm speaking with John Fleming, Dr. John Fleming. He's a physician, and he also is the Republican who's a representative from Louisiana's 4th Congressional District. And both of us will be right back after these words.